What's up, guys? My name is Matt, and today I'm going to do what I call Dear Bungie. Now, a lot of you who have been subscribed for a long time know what Dear Bungie is, but if you're new here, and there's a lot of you, there's a lot of new people since I last did a Dear Bungie. What Dear Bungie is I sit here and I talk about an idea that's not currently in the game, and I tag the Twitter handle in the title of the video, so if your Twitter is tied to your YouTube account and you click like, it'll get tweeted at Bungie. So I'd really appreciate it if you guys did that. It would mean the world to me. Maybe we'll get Bungie's attention on one of these, and we get it put in the game. But today I want to talk about weekly or possibly even monthly content. What I'm talking about is a weekly or monthly raid. A weekly or monthly raid, it would work like the Nightfall or the Weekly Heroic, where you can only do it once per character, per month, or per week, depending on how Bungie wants to implement this, if they were to. Now, I sat down and I thought about what kind of rewards can you get from this. Looking at the Nightfall, you have that chance at Exotic, you have a chance at the materials, and you have a chance at a Legendary, but you're never going to get all three. You only get one. I think when it comes to a weekly or monthly raid, there needs to be a guaranteed Exotic, or a chance for an Exotic, a chance for an Exotic with a guaranteed raid piece and guaranteed radiant materials. Now, of course, in the future, let's say there's 3 raids out because we're in 2016 or whatever. There's a bunch of raids out. Whatever the material is that we're using to upgrade gear at that point, that's what we need to use and what need to be rewarded. But I also want to make sure that you get a raid piece that's from the current raid. Let's say the monthly raid is Vault of Glass this month, or the weekly raid is Vault of Glass. You still would get raid pieces from a current date, Crota's End. It wouldn't be, and it'd be the same drops that you would get from the normal people, so you'd always get the helmet from Atheon, you know, those kind of things. And down the road, when the House of Wolves raid comes out and that potential Comet thing comes out, those whatever raid piece, that's what you would get for your raid piece, but I want it to be that equivalent. Now, another thing I want to point out about this and with my idea is that the monthly or weekly raid would be level 32 or whatever the max level is at the time. So right now, it would be go right below the Nightfall, you know, in the options, it'd be checked off and whatever, and it would require you to be max level. But that's not the only thing it would require you to be. It would also require you to be not only max level, you'd had to have beaten the raid on hard mode. So let's say it's weekly raid and it's House of Wolves raid, the arena or whatever it's called. You have to have beaten that on hard mode to unlock the weekly or Nightfall raid, or whatever we want to call it. The monthly raid, the Nightfall raid, the weekly raid, whatever we call it, you have to have beaten that version of the raid on hard mode. So let's say week 1 it's Vault of Glass, you need to have beaten Vault of Glass on hard mode. Let's say it's Crota's End, you have to have beaten it on hard mode at least once sometime in the past. And whatever comes in the future, you need to beat it on hard mode. So obviously if they were to implement this in the House of Wolves, and I don't see that happening, you'd have to wait till the hard mode was released, and then you have to beat it, and then you could do this weekly, monthly, Nightfall raid. And it works just like a normal raid. It's not match made. You have to get a fire team together, and everyone in your fire team has to have beaten it on hard. You can't be the only one that's beaten on hard. Your entire raid team has to beat it on hard, and you make this group. You combine it, and you get it, and you go and do the raid. Now you're like, what makes this difficult? What makes this different from the normal raid that we can do every week? I want it to have modifiers. Because right now, we have all our debuffs in raid, but in the Nightfall, you can get Juggler, you can get Arc Burn, Void Burn, Solar Burn, you get Angry, you can get Epic, you can get Light Switch. You get all these things. I think Light Switch should be taken out of Crota's End because thralls everywhere get fucked up instantly. But regardless, and I just had an epiphany. What if the gear from this was different than the current gear? Like you got the Crota's End raid gear, you've got the Vault of Glass raid gear, you've got future raid gear, but the monthly raid has its own prestigious raid gear that gets you 1 level higher. So let's say we're 32 right now, you could be 33 with this raid gear. That would be fucking nuts. But let's go back to the modifiers and what I was talking about with the modifiers. Now, you'd have Juggler, you'd have the Burns, you'd have Angry, Light Switch, maybe even a Nightfall. But I also want it to have modifiers specifically tailored to the raid itself. So if we're doing Vault of Glass, maybe it's got a burn on it called Templar's Rage. And when you get to the Templar, his in-range timer is cut by a couple minutes. Or in Crota's End, have it called like Swordbearer's Bane or something like that. So when you have the sword, you take damage very, very slowly while you're holding the sword. Just something that would be absolutely crazy and really hard to beat. You have to be completely organized and all this stuff. And you have this raid gear that is exclusive to the monthly or weekly raid that is one level above all the other raid gear in the game. Now, you're probably wondering, how would this function? How would this work? How does the raid work differently than the normal raid? Outside of the modifiers, of course. Because honestly, you get arc burn or solar burn. Some of the enemies would be very easy. What I would do, I want it to function like the normal raid. Because if it didn't function like the normal raid, it'd be very hard. Very, very hard. Because of all these crazy burns and whatever. But I feel it needs to function like the normal raid in a sense that the 30-second revive timers or the 10-second revive timers, depending on what part of the raid and what raid it is, because obviously in Crota's End, you have that shorter revive time in the Abyss, but keep those revive timers like they are in normal. So you don't have this, you have to complete the checkpoint in order for your team to be revived. Keep the 30-second revive timer in place, and here's why. Because in this raid, there are no checkpoints. You start the raid, you finish the raid. You don't go, you know what, we'll stop at Templar this time. You know what, we'll stop at the bridge. No, you start and you go. If you leave, you start over. If you wipe, you start over. There are no checkpoints in this. You would still get normal drops at the normal times. So, in Crota's End, you form the bridge in the Abyss, you get across, you get that raid drop. That raid drop is a normal raid drop. The normal Crota's End raid drop. So you get the level 32 version. But then you do the bridge again, all the way through, form the bridge, do the sword bearers, and when you're done, you get your normal Crota's End raid drop. And then, of course, you do Crota, and you get your normal helmet weapons drops. It's great. That's what you get. It's like one more time you can do the raid each week on your character, but if you finish it, you get that epic raid gear. The chance of that epic raid gear. Or a guaranteed raid gear. You might get a guaranteed prestigious chest. I don't know what to call it. Bungie, if you're listening to this and you're thinking about putting this game, you guys are good with names. Come up with something. Make it a different color. Something so everyone knows that. Make it red. Make it red. Because we have common gear, which is white. We have green gear, and so on and so forth. Exotics are yellow. Make it red. So people know, and you can only have, you can have as many equipped as you want. You can have all 4 pieces equipped. You can have 1 piece equipped. But make it red so people know that person did the epic raid, or did the monthly raid, or did the Nightfall raid. And give it a different buff. Because right now we have the Nightfall buff where we get increased reputations and we get increased XP. Give it a new buff. I haven't thought about what that buff would be, but give us a buff. Maybe give us a raid token. If we have the buff, we have 1 raid token, and we could do the normal raid, whatever the raid is for the current content. So in House of Wolves, whatever the raid is and that, if we beat the monthly raid, we have a raid token on that character, and it lasts for the whole month or the whole week, and you could do the raid again with that token. You could save the tokens. That could be another drop. Make it something. Just, there's so many crazy things that can happen with this, Bungie. There's so much craziness that can happen with this. So basically what I want is this monthly raid that acts like the Nightfall, that has modifiers, that is the highest max level, that you have to beat hard mode on that specific raid to unlock this monthly or weekly raid, whatever you want to call it. And we get it. No, we don't get a buff when we're finished. We get a token. We can use that token to do the normal raid again, but also there's this chance to get an exotic. There's a chance to get this red epic raid piece that puts us 1 level above everyone else. That we did it. We did this month. It would take 4 months of incredible luck to get just that full set of raid gear. It would just expand the content, and it would be super fun to go in and do like Crota's End with Void Burn. That would be fucking fun for me. I would love to see this sort of thing, Bungie. And if you guys that are watching on my channel, if you like this idea, let me know down in the comments below. And also, like I said, if your Twitter account is tied to your YouTube account and you like this, it will get tweeted at Bungie. So if that is an option for you, please do that. And I'd like all of you to do that, because I will retweet it, of course. And I do have a Twitter account. It's down in the description. It's been in the description. But this is not about me. This is about future content in Destiny. And I hope to see something like this. Maybe not, but we never know. This might happen in Destiny 2. Maybe way down the road we might see this. But if you like this, let me know in the comments. Leave a like. And if you're new here, this is Dear Bungie. So click the subscribe button. But I do post daily Destiny content that isn't just this. And I haven't done these in a while, but I thought I'd bring it back to the channel. And as always, my name is Matt. And I should end this Dear Bungie, but I don't want to because I haven't done it in so long. And I get on these rants and tangents, and I love spilling ideas out for the game that I have fallen in love with. But I'm going to get out of here. So as always, my name is Matt, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.